Hi, Zizaran here with another video for the upcoming Scourge expansion, and I wanted to make a video talking about the expedition changes and expedition going core, and obviously that's something people have heard that I'm very against, and I figured I would talk a little bit about why that is. So first, to summarize? English is hard when it's not your first language. Expedition is basically from Act 6 onwards, and it's 8% chance to encounter in maps. And then obviously there are some Atlas passives as well. There's a notable change with that expedition. Artifacts are no longer tradable. They're going to be auto pickup, and that's going to be a really, really nice thing, reducing clicks. But the the reroll currency is going to be tradable. So it's pretty cool. I love that change. I don't necessarily hate expedition. I hate that it's going core for a few other reasons. But logbooks are now maximum area of level 83. Display area level on their item icon, and there's the expedition scarabs now. Some of the prices have been tweaked so that you're not going to have like 0 common artifacts per rod, for example, and some other minor changes that aren't that important. So why am I so against expedition going core? It's not necessarily the mechanic itself, it's more about the traders. Part of the problem I'm having with the game now is that it's starting to be very when you play as many hours as I do and you know life the game, you get less and less of a chase, right? Like when I initially started playing the game, or rather when I was like enjoying the item chase a lot more in the game, was because like Headhunter and Shavs and Comb's Heart and stuff like that, they were so rare. They were 4 times rarer than now. There was way less item availability, so you had so many exciting things that could drop. Very, very much more similar to Diablo 2, right? And that's less about like the game becoming easier because you played so much, just because that item chase was better and more interesting. And D2 is like the only game that really could keep that. Obviously, it's a very different game, so not necessarily worth comparing, but the item chase in Path of Exile has become easier and easier, and obviously more casual friendly, right? Hard mode will fix some of those issues for me, but that's kind of besides the point. A thing that is very interesting, especially on solo self and hardcore, and again, especially for events such as the Gauntlet, is getting high item level bases. And Expedition completely erased that from the game, because you can now get item level 86 gear just by getting level 90. And that means, and again, none of this probably matters for softcore, because I would assume like bases are available in 10 hours at item level 86 on softcore. So it's entirely a SSF hardcore problem, where I just find I really don't like how easy that is. And obviously you always want to like do the best you can, right? Because you're racing other players. It's a competitive environment and stuff. So it's just the fact that it's entirely tied to your item level. That's my main gripe with Expedition. I don't necessarily find the in-map expeditions that fun either, but I do like the logbooks quite a lot. So it's very similar to how I feel about Blight. Very similar. And I think they'll feel a lot better with all the other changes, but the item level thing. And since you get level 90, you can very easily get item level 86 items by gambling or by rug crafting. Nothing to do with your map completion. It's got nothing to do with logbooks or anything like that currently. And that is my main problem, because I've lost several characters due to, dude, I really need an item level 86 base. I want to craft on the best. So I've like maybe gone into item level 86 maps at a lower level and been very uncomfortable and been like, this is really fucking scary, but I really want that base. And I've died because of that. And I think that's great. That's a great way to die. I would love to see this being changed in particular. I would love for it to, there's so many ways they could fix this. They could have it based on the last map you did, or the highest map you've done. They could have it be on like your Atlas completion. They could have it be on the highest level logbook that you've done. Please don't have it be based on level. It doesn't make sense to me why it would be based on level at the end game. It can be based on level during the campaign. And logbooks now have a maximum area level of 83. I don't necessarily love that either, because at 86 logbook, that's really hard, right? So if you're getting good bases from that, then it's deserved. It's genuinely very dangerous. If you're wondering, a TLDR, what I'm like not liking, it's that the complete safety and easy availability of bases, because scarcity is very important. Less is more. The unique item gambling is a little bit too powerful. I think that's something they just made more powerful to try to make people happier with 3.15. So as a good example of the gambler being too powerful is the Ruthless Coil is obviously exceedingly good for one of the most popular builds of the league, right? Anyone that was playing the Gladiator Spectral Shield Throw and really wanted like giga damage for especially the hit version where you one hit, like probably 80% of the hit version was using it. Quite a lot of people playing bleed as well. And obviously none of the raiders, but a large amount of people were using Resulthus Coil, and look how cheap it was. This is an item I was expecting to be 5 to 8 exalts, even though it has a divination card, because the divination card is pretty rare. And I ended up getting 3 on solo Selfan in the short time frame I was rolling for it. Gwennen just like absolutely shits out uniques. I would put a very large amount of hypothetical money on that this is the most headhunters a league has ever had, because I had one friend that gambled 7 headhunters and stuff like that. There's so many people were like, oh dude, my 3rd headhunter this league, and I'm like, bruh. Obviously it was still fairly rare on an individual level. There was a lot of people that didn't get a headhunter. I didn't get one either. Rug crafting, really cool, incredibly strong. I think that's like the best compromise between harvest and random crafting, where you have a combination of both. You have some deterministic, and we saw people and myself also crafted several like insane items with Rog. Obviously you have a lot of players that are struggling with crafting and understanding things. Hopefully the additions to Rog mid league help those people, but a lot of people didn't really know when to roll, how to not roll, what to skip, etc. to make good items. But the people that did figure it out were making insane things, and that's obviously a little bit of Path of Exile, that if you're able to figure things out, you're gonna make a shit ton. Other than that, Ward is very scary. It is getting buffed. Ward is very scary, as in it can very easily break the game because of that flask where it's just damage reduction. I could see it like being scary for them to buff, but I think it's very good. I think people were underusing it. We saw people in the gauntlet using it, especially on dodge builds, and they were like, yeah, this is OP as fuck, dude. It's like an extra 2k life for free against bosses. So a little bit underused, and maybe it needs something else than just raw numbers. So I'm not sure. Maybe it needs another interesting unique item or something, but I think Ward could be a really, really cool thing for the game. And some of the unique items, well, one of the unique items were very cool, the gloves in particular. And then the flask is either, I don't know, it's very hard for it to just be good. It's a very much an item that's either broken or bad. Very hard for it to just be good. Pretty okay with it going core if it didn't have all the item level and shit out uniques as much. Tuyen feels pretty okay. It gives you a little bit of control over what currency you want to buy and stuff. I wish there was like a little bit like less artifacts so you weren't just buying out the entire store. And I wish the gambling was a little bit more dynamic. Like it's only like 2 ways. There's some that are super overpriced that he'll sell cheap, and some that are accurately priced that he'll sell at half. There's very little like actually gambling. Like I've very rarely seen you actually do like a 10% gamble, and sometimes that working. Honestly, I was getting very tired of the gambling, and I would just do like 45% of the price every time on Tuyen, and he would always sell it. I would love to hear, especially from softcore players, like, do you guys care about the item level bases, or do you just want everything to be super accessible? For the, like, you know, a lot of people just like the power fantasy, right? They don't want anything in the game to be challenging. They just want to, like, you know, right click screens, and that can be really, really fun for a lot of people, right? There's a lot of different reasons to play RPGs. So I would love to hear what you guys think about Expedition Going Core, if you agree, disagree. Always interesting to see. It's there's a lot of different ways to have fun in a game. That's the most important thing. Make sure you're having fun. Which I think we're going to be doing a lot in the upcoming Scourge expansion. We're going to be putting out a shit ton of build guides and video content. So thank you guys so much for the support. Subscribe if you like the video. But more importantly, try to die less than I do.